Welcome to Elementary Algebra. The book is by Harold Jacobs. I'm your presenter, Molly Crocker. If you're looking for a video presentation of this text that incorporates the use of graphing calculators, then you have arrived. Why am I advocating for a text written in 1979? Good texts stand the test of time, like Euclid's Elements, which was written 300 BC and is still being translated to the world's languages. Is there an algebra book out there like Euclid's Elements? No. Why? Our ability to isolate a variable in an equation depended on two notation inventions, the equal sign and Hindu-Arabic numerals. Both of these came together in the Renaissance, along with René Descartes' use of graphing on a grid, named for him as the Cartesian coordinate system. Mathematics hasn't been the same since. Is there a modern classic algebra text? Well, I've been teaching math since the 80s, and I've had to use more than a few textbooks. My favorite is Elementary Algebra by Harold Jacobs. Let me tell you why. Harold Jacobs saw thousands of students through his classes during his high school teaching career and developed a sense for what works for both students and instructors. I'll tell you, textbooks have changed, but people have not. This 1979 text would still be in print in its original form, but for some expired copyright contracts with some of the illustrations. The book is engaging. Harold Jacobs asked that question, why would I want to learn this? Or who uses this stuff? He does it every lesson. I think this is the most important part. Through using the book, I became a much better instructor. That is the highest praise I can give a textbook. Harold Jacobs was my teacher, even though I was never in his classroom. So who is Molly Crocker? Did I say I've been teaching math since the 80s? I've been in a variety of classrooms, including public school, community college, private schools, and I've worked with homeschoolers in small groups as well as tutoring privately. I've taught math sense to preschoolers and to pre-calculus to adults. Since 1979, has teaching algebra changed? I've talked about changes in math notation in the last 500 years. What about algebra more recently? While we have firmed up topics and notation systems, the graphing calculator, which arrived in the mid-1980s for students, has most definitely changed how we teach math. As an instructor, I find that graphing calculators, not just scientific calculators, graphing calculators help students get their homework done faster. Silly arithmetic errors are now a non-issue. That makes us both happier. We can generate equations quickly and see how changes in the equation affect the table and the graph. I can teach transformations in 30 minutes. When I was in high school, back in the days we had to walk to school uphill both directions in the snow with no shoes on, we had to generate tables by hand and then plot points and draw curves. It took weeks. And if there was an error in our arithmetic, then we might not know which point didn't belong with a curve. The idea of transformations was utterly lost on me then. It wasn't until I got a graphing calculator in my hands that I caught on, and then it was fast. Why wouldn't we use this tool now? I'm clearly enthusiastic about graphing calculators. For that reason, I'm supplying how to use a graphing calculator intelligently in these presentations. This adaptation is what sets my presentations apart from all others that are out there. The path that Harold Jacobs chose through algebra, which I think I would call a functions approach, quite naturally allows the use of graphing tools to enlighten students about how the equation affects the graph, and which equations draw which curves. If you are not familiar with these concepts, then you should have a graphing calculator. By the way, I watched as nearly all algebra texts for the adults came around to the path through algebra that Harold Jacobs set in 1979. By 2010, most every math author had conformed to that path. Here's the calculator for students. For my presentations, I'll be using an emulator. I can clearly show keystrokes and screenshots. Is a calculator going to ruin a student's math sense? While I would emphasize mental math skills through arithmetic, I have never found that calculator use hinders a student's skill or understanding. There are people with poor arithmetic skills. For them, the calculator opens doors into higher math, and even though they may never become a mathematician, they can learn what math can accomplish for them. Sometimes this answers the question for that question for the student, why would I ever want to learn this? I've seen math facts get organized in a child's brain after repeated exposure to the problem and the correct answer through calculator use. Now, the device in our pockets have very good calculators. Should we be using them instead of a TI, which is a separate purchase? I don't care. What I do see in 2025 is an increasing number of schools that want students off of their devices when they walk in the door. Many child psychologists are discouraging the use of devices altogether for our young people. The TI calculators don't have internet access, so this is a pretty happy medium between no technology and an internet device with distracting games and apps. Parents and teachers will need to decide between a TI calculator and an application for your device. I hope to supply some how-to videos for device apps soon, but I think that once students see what can be done with graphing calculators, that they will find and embrace these without any help. Desmos is the calculator currently built into the online standardized pre-college testing. Once students are familiar with any graphing calculator, they should be able to pick up and handle Desmos for testing. There is an application for your device, but the online version is meant for use without any device. Testing companies already supply links for getting familiar with Desmos online. Students can take advantage of these before they are in a testing situation. Besides a calculator, what will you need to purchase for my videos? At minimum, everyone will need to purchase a textbook from either the used book market or Master Books. The 1979 edition is still available on the used book market. The current edition is sold by Master Books, but is often available on the used book market as well. Older printings of the Master Books edition were in hardcover, but were in a very poor binding that fell apart after a year or two, so not very many of them are available. Newer printings are sold only in softcover and will last about a year. An instructor will need to acquire the publication with the Set 1 answers and tests. The guide for the 1979 edition has a cover that matches the 1979 text with lizards on the front. It's on the used book market. This is what the newer teacher guide looks like, available from Master Books. The cost for viewing my presentations will be $79 per semester. I'll put links to my course on the platform called Teachable below in the description for this video. Each semester will cost $79. If you have questions or comments, if you found an error, if you need help, I welcome your contact. Leave a comment below, like and share to your homeschool co-op, the administration of your school, the Facebook page your local homeschool group uses. Thank you so much for doing that. That's all for now.